Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Business Essentials podcast. I'm your host, Veronica, and today we're going to be speaking with Lynn Louise Larson, or as she calls herself, the Cosmic Valkyrie. She's going to be speaking to us about how to be successful by simply being ourselves. I'm excited to speak with her, and I'll bring her on right after this.
Tony Robbins once said, "No matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, you are still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying." This is the Biz Essentials. You want to grow, get ahead, keep the spark. Here you'll get valuable insights and empowerment to grow personally and professionally. Isn't it about time you turn your dreams into successful passion projects? Learn how to be productive, be successful, be joyful, and more importantly, be yourself. The Be Essentials. This is the Biz Essentials. And this is your host, Veronica of Veronica Ventures.
Good morning. How are you?
Excellent. I'm really excited about today and sharing.
I'm really excited to have you on my podcast as well. Why don't you share a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Wonderful. I'm Lynn Louise. I'm the Cosmic Valkyrie, and I help entrepreneurs completely let go of limiting beliefs that are shaped from their past, most likely trauma, so that they can step into the powerful possibilities and operate as the cosmic visionary that they came here to be. So that is what I do. And I will share a little bit more through my own personal story and how I came up with the Evolution 10X method and how it works and all that fun stuff.
That would be fantastic because, yes, definitely is something that I need in my life. Many of us, even people who haven't experienced trauma, are limited by the beliefs that they formed in childhood, whatever those may be. So I know that everyone can gain value from listening to what it is that you have to say. Go for it.
Yeah. So a lot of us have a perception of what trauma really is, but it's the way our brain processes information. So it doesn't have to be my own story, which I'll share in a moment. It can be as simple as falling off your bike at the age of 5 can create a traumatic experience and the belief systems around it. But like most entrepreneurs, I came into this life and I knew that I was meant for big things. I really wanted to make a difference. I had these great visions of joining the Peace Corps and then coming back and serving others. But at the age of 15, I was sexually assaulted by a close friend and an upperclassman. And although my logical brain knew that it wasn't my fault, my subconscious that night formed a belief system, many belief systems around that event that changed the course of my entire life. And so what happened is one of the stories that was formed was, Lynn Louise, you can't trust yourself anymore. And so I handed over unknowingly the trust in making my own decisions to my parents, to well-meaning professors, school counselors, what that was going to look like. And I started making decisions based on what they told me. And so I did just that. I went to university, I graduated, I got myself into corporate America. I worked myself up to a corner office as an executive. And from the outside, my life looked great. I was making multiple 6 figures, had a wonderful boyfriend, lived in an apartment that most people couldn't afford, season tickets to the San Francisco Symphony. Everything looked wonderful. But behind the scenes, my life was falling apart. I was living paycheck to paycheck because I had a shopping addiction because I was looking for external happiness in things and then feeling buyer's remorse almost immediately. I was emotionally eating and then drinking at night and punishing myself the next day with excessive exercise. I was standing in my office one afternoon and I loved looking out over the Golden Gate Bridge when the fog was moving in. And this one particular day, I remember standing there and feeling like my world was falling apart. I felt like an imposter in my life. I felt alone. I felt desperate, depressed, sad, overwhelmed, anxious, everything that you could imagine. And it was at that moment, I didn't know what the hell I could do. I didn't know what was going to help me. But what I did know is that for things to change, I needed to start prioritizing me and my healing and my evolution. And while at that moment, I did not even identify as needing to be healed from my past trauma, air quote, I felt like I had already gotten over it. I had done that, been there, went through therapy, everything was taken care of. But through my journey, it began to unfold that all the limiting beliefs that had been formed from my past, not just the trauma, but what I had been taught from others through school, nationalism, dogma, were holding me in this pattern. And it had created, I'd climbed the wrong mountain. So in order for me to get back in alignment to the thing that I came here to do as an entrepreneur, I needed to prioritize me and my healing first. And so that's what I did. I spent 10 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars figuring out what works, what doesn't work. And I put together the Evolution 10X method so that I can help entrepreneurs rapidly move through that transformation, let go of all those limiting beliefs once and for all, so they can step very powerfully in the purpose that they came here to live.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I don't know how much of my story you know, or those of who have been following me for a long time know that I very much have the same belief that everyone is here for a purpose and that we just need to find that purpose. That's why my motto is keep the spark, because I feel like we all have that little spark within us that sometimes gets doused out by society or our childhood or our own limiting beliefs that we formed around those things. And so finding that and finding your passion and doing those things is actually what you're meant to do. It's required for your own personal fulfillment, but also it's kind of our duty to do so for the world at large, because that is what we're here for. So, wow, that's amazing.
I completely agree. And most of the time people struggle with finding their purpose because their subconscious, where all those limiting beliefs are formed, is so loud that they can't quiet it enough to move in the direction that they came here for. So for me, it's really aligning with your higher self so that you can gain clarity and step really fully into that knowing.
I can see how that would be so, because it was so for me for such a very long time until I started my own journey of transformation. But I would have never guessed that I would be here right now had somebody asked me, are you going to be hosting a podcast like next year? I'd be like, no. What are you, crazy? And so it's amazing what happens in your own life and through your own transformation when you learn to move past those and kind of sort of, for me, it was a letting go of the control and moving with what is and what could be, opening yourself up to the possibilities, because those are there for a reason. You just, when you're taught to do something or told to do something, whether it be by yourself or others, you kind of put these blinders on and you only see the focus that you wish to see. So like, this is what success means to me and I'm going to do it.
So often as a culture, we are taught to be employees. It is the way our education system is built. And because of that, we have a certain belief system around the way things are supposed to operate. And we are not taught entrepreneurship. So when we get into the role of entrepreneurship, we believe to be true that we operate it the same way as an employee, which is absolutely incorrect. And we're also taught that we are, as an identity, as a self-identity, an employee, not an entrepreneur. So being able to shift that subconscious belief into standing in, I am the CEO of my own business, from that entrepreneur or even unpaid intern, takes someone to lead you there. And what a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand at the get-go is that doing things is not going to create the business of your dreams. You first must be the entrepreneur. And that happens on the inside. The biggest self-development journey you will ever take is becoming an entrepreneur. We are so often all over social media, we are bombarded with information telling us that you need more strategy, you need to enroll in more programs, you need more certifications, and then you will have a successful business. This is a broken strategy. You have everything you need right now to build a successful business. You must first start the internal journey to stand in that power and let go of all that indoctrination and nationalism that you have been taught to keep you in that scarcity mindset of I'm an employee.
Wow. Yeah. To be fully authentically yourself, and then the right things will be attracted to you where you're supposed to be. That, whew, sorry, I'm a little moved. Lost my train of thought, but it's very much true. And I can see it now in my own life. And I've heard that before too, that the educational system was designed to make factory workers so that everyone just does what they're supposed to do. And yeah, that's kind of scary, but true.
And if you think of it, you think of our educational system too. You do these things and then you will have the success, which is absolutely wrong. We know that to be true. You can get a doctorate and still be unemployable, correct?
Right.
Doing is not the genesis of creating. Creating comes from who you are being, and that happens all on the inside.
So how do you be? That's the question, right?
The question, right? So this is part of my evolution 10X method. But the first thing to understand is that you have been taught, and 90% of the population is working from a broken model called have, do, be. And what does this mean? You're operating from, once I have the successful business, then I can do the things I want to do, and then I will be the person that I want to be in life. And this can apply in everything, not just business. It can be applied in your body, your relationships. It can be applied in every aspect of your life. So this broken strategy works. This is exactly the opposite of being, right? Which is where we create from. So we need to switch that. This paradigm shift to be, do, have. I must first be the entrepreneur that will do the things to create the six-figure income I desire. So what are characteristics of being? So that's where people kind of are like, wait, what? Be that person? Yes. And this is what happens on the inside. You must first be the characteristics of the person that's going to do the things to create the outcome you desire. This is the very first foundational shift. Of course, I deep dive in my method and in my masterclass, but I always want people to understand before walking into working with me that this is the very first level.
Right.
Start being. So look at the people that have what you want in life and look at what are their characteristics. I can guarantee you they're committed, they're integral, right? They do what they say they're going to do.
Right.
They show up. They don't struggle with perfectionism. They don't procrastinate. They're motivated. So find somebody out there. A lot of the times when we think about who we want to be, it's a little difficult for us to look at ourselves and who we want to become. So I say, look at a role model and then find those aspects and then be that, embody that to create what you want to create.
And I think the integral part of that is, I've heard this before, but without the nuance of being, because people will say, fake it till you make it, do the next right step. And then, but I think the key thing there is the being, not necessarily just showing up and doing the work. So that, I think that's a little different. And I'm not sure everybody's grasped that.
So the thing too is that your subconscious identity can't fake it. It's going to tell you who you are every step of the way. So you need to align your subconscious with who you're going to be. Now, once you realize who you're being, then it strips everything away that you don't need to do to step into the power of who you want to be to create that, right? And then what you do every day to create the outcome and have the outcome you desire. You quiet the noise. If it doesn't align with who you are being, then you're not going to do it. Somebody that is being that six-figure entrepreneur is not going to procrastinate and binge watch Netflix, right?
Right.
So you're eliminating the behaviors that aren't aligned with where you want to go.
Interesting. That is a really good point. And I think that makes life in general both more complicated and way easier. Because if you can look at every decision as a, well, it's almost like a, what would Jesus do? But what would the entrepreneur do?
Exactly. What would, as a six-figure entrepreneur, what would I do? What choice would I make? What decision would I make in this moment?
Right.
So many people, and this is why evolution, your expansion is so important in personal development. And I'm going to be straight in business ownership. And I'm going to be straight up. I don't know anyone else who is coaching the stuff that I'm coaching in the depth that I'm coaching it, because I align awareness, like the pillars of evolution 10X method are awareness, which one, you've already went into, you're already being challenged in your belief system and you're becoming aware of, wow, I've been operating from doing instead of being. So we go way deeper into awareness. And then it's really aligning that subconscious, reprogramming those limiting beliefs into that powerful ally, taking out that snarky inner critic that's telling you you're not good enough, you're not doing the right things, and transforming her into a powerful ally that is going to say, oh, okay, now that I don't have the noise telling me you can't do, or you're not good enough, or that's not the right thing. Now that she's quiet, I can go, oh, I need to build a funnel system today. I'm going to do that. The really important thing that I want your audience to hear is we all are entrepreneurs. At one point, it was drawing you in because you wanted to create more freedom in your life. And to a lot of entrepreneurs, freedom looks like ease and flow. And working from have, do, be is working from external circumstance. And so by saying, I don't have enough time or I don't have enough money, those are external circumstances. And when you are operating from those external circumstances and trying to build your business, all you are going to manifest is more no time and more no money.
That's a really good point. I hadn't considered that, because that's what you're focusing on, right? So
you are where your attention goes, right? Like you're manifesting from where your attention is. So if you're always saying, oh my gosh, hard work, and I just got to work harder, I got to hustle more, and that's going to grow the business of my dreams, you're not going to create the dream life ever. You're just going to create more hard work and hustle that could eventually drive you to a point of giving up or never being able to get out of that 9-to-5 job or plateauing to the next level of your income within your business.
Right.
So we want to begin to create from ease and flow from the get-go so that we can have that dream business the entire time. And all that starts with your evolution.
Wow. Yeah. Mind blown. I'm sitting here trying to formulate a question and my mind's going, can't compute. No, but in a wonderful way, because it's absolutely true in that I fall into that trap sometimes too. And I know others who have come to the success, like you were mentioning in your previous life, of being at the pinnacle of success of what everyone would determine is like, oh my gosh, that's where I want to be. But the key factor is that success doesn't look the same to everybody. So those who are struggling with, well, this is who I want to be. I think it becomes with the alignment of, is that really who you want to be? Or is that who you were told that you should want to be?
Oh, I love that you bring this up, because when entrepreneurs are starting out, there are so many voices on social media that are talking to them, telling them what to do. And one thing to really be aware of is a lot of the times the very successful entrepreneurs that are business coaches are talking to people that are already making multiple six figures. It's really important to have that awareness around it, because a lot of us can get lost in the shuffle when we're just stepping into the entrepreneur lifestyle. And being aware that when they're talking about making their first $70,000 launch, even though this is absolutely possible, for a majority of entrepreneurs starting out, their limiting beliefs are not going to allow them to create that in their first launch. You must first transform yourself from the inside in order to up level your game when it comes to building and manifesting the business of your dreams. If your subconscious is back there telling you, oh no, Lynn Louise, you are poor. You grew up poor. You are poor now, and I'm going to keep you poor. There is no way to up level your business until you transform your belief system, because that belief system is your direct connection to source, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, where we create from, right? So you have to reprogram it so that it is powerful and works from always 100% possible 100% of the time, or you're going to be stuck trying to close that gap between where you are and where you want to be. But be aware that so many of these really upper echelon business coaches are not talking to the person that's straight out of the gate going, I want to build my business and I want to build it, rapidly right now. I need 100K in the first month. That's operating from wanting. And that means you are desperate, and you are also your subconscious is so programmed around the needing that it can't get to that ultimate outcome in which you desire in the external, because you're being desperate, you are being overwhelmed, right? Is this making sense?
Yeah. The question that I have for you, though, is how do you see yourself as, okay, I know I can make those $70,000 a month, and I want that $70,000 a month. Does that make sense? It's like,
yes.
How can you tell yourself the different, make sure that you're focusing on the right thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So there's a big difference between manifesting what you want. When you get what you want, it's because you know it is there, that it's done. Manifesting from wanting energy normally is telling yourself that it's coming. It's coming. I'm going to have it someday. But manifesting and being that person means knowing and trusting that it is already done. If you want to know if you're struggling and living in external circumstances, or from doing or having or hard work and hustle, just look at where you are. Look at your external world. Do you have the business that you want? Are you attracting the clients you want? Do you have clarity around what it is you came to earth to do? Do you have the house you want, the car you want? Are you struggling paycheck to paycheck? Or is your business bringing an influx of a lot of money and then it's gone immediately? Do you have the relationships you want? All you have to do is look at what you have in life, and it's a direct reflection of where you're operating from in your subconscious.
Ooh, that could be dark. No, I'm just kidding.
It can be dark if you don't have what you want, right?
Yeah. I take that back, because actually I have been manifesting the things that I want. So yay. But in the past, before like this last year, totally different story. So I can see how that would be entirely different.
And it's an evolution. So there's going to be a point that You have what you want now, but you want to upgrade. You want more, right? Like we
Right.
all want more. We always want to have more. That's part of being human. That's why we came here. And you won't be able to get there without the aid of somebody or the guidance of somebody who has already taken that on
Right.
and found the road for you, right? Because we are all, every single one of us is working at the capacity of our capabilities, meaning we don't know what we don't know.
Absolutely. And sometimes we know what we should know, but we don't see it. If that makes any sense. We have that knowledge inside of us, but it's blocked.
There is a big difference between understanding something and knowing it to your core.
That's the key. Because for my own personal self, I know a lot of things, but like to actually know it is an entirely different thing. Like I could tell other people what to do, but for myself, for some reason, it's different. One thing that I wanted to ask you is that where imposter syndrome comes from, the dissonance between the doing and the being. So we do all the things that we want to do, and somehow we get to that, let's say, 6-figure income, but that's not really who we are. Is that where that dissonance comes from, and that imposter syndrome?
So imposter syndrome is a sweeping general term for all your limiting beliefs.
Mm.
And your limiting beliefs are taught to you. Like you came into this world a blank slate. Everything that your brain knows has been taught to you, including your limiting beliefs and your belief systems. So not all of your limiting beliefs are yours. Some of them were taught to you from nationalism or indoctrination from religion, wherever, from your parents. So it's a culmination of all these belief systems create imposter syndrome. It's a lack of self-worth, self-value, not understanding who you really are on a cosmic level, operating from this body, not who you truly are as a luminous being, as knowing that I am more than this physical body. When we're operating from that, we're operating from our brain set on autopilot, meaning that physical brain that is telling you what is and is not, who you are not, what you're supposed to believe, what you're not supposed to believe, that has been taught to you from birth. And a lot of those belief systems were taught to you with the intention for them to last a lifetime.
And a lot of the times they're taught to you from good intention to keep you safe in that little mold where everybody lives.
Some of them with good intentions, some of them not so much.
Valid. That's absolutely true.
You think about what we're taught as far as nationalism. And as women or men, what are the different roles that we're playing? We're taught what money means, what it doesn't, who should have it, who shouldn't. Be really aware of those belief systems that you were taught. People think limiting beliefs are shaped from past bad experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that your brain is surveying your environment every second of every day, creating meanings and belief systems that are designed to keep you right where you are.
Right.
A lot of coaches out there are talking about limiting beliefs as if they only exist from past experiences. And therefore, once you get over them, then you never have to worry about them again. The truth is, you need to understand the way your brain functions and how it takes what you are seeing and creates an entire belief system behind it, minute by minute, not only validating older belief systems, but creating new ones. This is where I go really deep within my method and my masterclass, because once you can understand how your brain is forming them and how they relate to your world right now, not yesterday, not 5 years ago, how it is creating and validating limiting beliefs now, once you understand that, then you can debunk them within a second and operate from possibility, knowing that it is not you, it is your brain. And you can bypass that experience and not allow it to attach a meaning that is going to limit you in the future.
It's kind of like the perception is reality, and your brain is seeing what it expects to see, so it kind of keeps you in that.
Exactly. You got it. It's quantum physics. What you perceive will be true. What you perceive is what you are going to validate as true as your reality.
Right. You look for evidence to what you already believe is true.
Switch your perspective. That ascension is my third. So I have awareness, I have subconscious alignment, and then ascension, which is basically your perception and interpretation of the world and what is around you. Because everything that you believe it to this point is what the world has taught you it is. But if you can switch that perspective, you can switch everything in the success of your life and business.
To quote the Matrix, there is no spoon.
There is no, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, no, that is both amazing to me and also it resonates, because I can totally see that happening. And I've seen evidence of it in my own life because, like I said, up until this last year, I was very, very limited. And now that I have had that mindset shift, I see everything totally different, and can now in retrospect see how limited I was before.
And if you think about it this way, even as highly evolved as I am, I still have my limitations. I still am always breaking through to a new level of consciousness. It is something that you have to actively commit to and stick with for your lifetime, because our dharma in this life is our expansion. Mm-hmm. That is why we're here, right? And so really becoming active and knowing, I'm the first one to say, I don't know anything. When you can say, I don't know anything, that opens your whole life up to being open to learning and expanding into new territories of evolution. When we switch our perspective, we always have to know we're always going to be switching it and creating new realities and pushing that paradigm a little further. Right?
Yeah, no. And like I said, every time you talk, my mind's like, I can feel the shift in my head.
That physical shift where it's like, oh, it's creating more gray matter in my head. I love that.
Yeah, I'm glad you know what I'm talking about, because I thought I sounded crazy, but like I can feel it. It's weirdly strange, but also kind of awesome, because I know that I'm learning and evolving, and that's always important, like you said. You had mentioned something about a course that you have. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So about once a quarter, I open the doors for different free workshops. I imagine by now you understand that I don't do anything half-assed. I'm like a deep diver. So it's designed to give you a significant paradigm shift so that you can step really deeply into your higher purpose and gain a lot of clarity around it. I'm even more cosmic within there. So I tell people, if you're not really cosmic going in, buckle up.
Buckle up, buttercup.
Right? But I like people to understand that where they're operating from is their physical brain and their physical body. But this physical brain and physical body are just a pinky finger of who you are on a bigger scale, on a cosmic scale. And when you can really tap into, like, my favorite quote is by George MacDonald. He says, you don't have a higher self. You are your higher self. You have a body. And when you can truly understand that and operate from your higher self, some people call it intuition, whatever, that gut feeling. When you can operate from that alignment, everything you desire becomes possible. I teach you how to master your thoughts, because that is the first thing that everyone needs to understand, is that you can master your thoughts. Everything else falls in alignment.
I'm going to join this class. I need this in my life.
Do it. We would love to have you. Every entrepreneur is welcome. I really resonate with entrepreneurs because I am one, and I knew that I always wanted to be one. I just didn't know what my calling was. And like you said, it was a very surprising where my story has led me to this point where I'm teaching people this information so that they too can create their own business. Because even my higher purpose is creating a tidal wave of entrepreneurs that are living their higher purpose and passion, but creating extraordinary income, not dabbling in it like a hobbyist, but really living that CEO and that visionary that they came to earth to be. Because the more compassionate entrepreneurs we have out there and the more success we have financially, the more transformation we can create in this life and in our world. And we all know right now that's really important.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we could create a tidal wave of a 1% with conscience, that would be amazing.
Right? I had a podcaster ask me a couple of weeks ago, why do you think the movement with all these 1%ers is to go to outer space? I'm going to be really cosmic here. And my answer was, because they don't believe that they can do it from Earth. They think that they have to go there. They don't believe they can obtain it through who they are. We are all aliens. We came to this Earth, right? Like I'm on it, not of it. So we're all aliens here. You know, we're all energy. We are all each other. We are Earth in our physical form, but in our cosmic form, we're all aliens.
Yeah, I can hear the internet trolls now, but I completely agree with you. I'm just,
if you believe if you have a soul, you know that this is not who you are. You are an alien on this earth.
That's true. Anybody who's religious would agree, right? I mean, right? That's the whole tenet.
It depends what your perspective is of who you are.
Yeah, if we could all strive to be our higher selves and operate from that, the world would be such a much better place.
And it's happening. I truly believe it's happening.
I think so too. There are a lot more people who are conscious of themselves and their connectedness to both the rest of the world and the universe at large. And so the more of those that we create, better the world will be.
So yes, I would love any and everyone is welcome into my workshop and my masterclass. So it's like a really good preamp for people to see how I operate, how I coach. I am not a cheerleader. I am definitely not a rah-rah coach. I am in it for transformation. So I'm more like a drill sergeant, I guess, but a compassionate drill sergeant. But yeah, it's a really good way to get to know who I am, what I do, how I serve, how I create change. And then my doors will open for my masterclass shortly after and give everyone an opportunity. I open them not very often. So it's a good time to start planting that seed.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I do encourage everyone to look for those. Where can they find you?
They can find me online at The Cosmic Valkyrie. That is The Cosmic, VALKYRIE.com. I also have that podcast, The Cosmic Valkyrie with Lynn Louise. They can find me anywhere with that. And then, I have Facebook groups. I'm on Clubhouse, but my website gives you the link to everywhere. And I always encourage people reach out to me. That's what I'm there for. If you want to ask questions, if you're needing a little guidance, I'm here for you.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are listening to this podcast in your car or somewhere where you don't have a pen, I'll make sure to put all of that in the show notes. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on? Any final thoughts?
One thing for everyone to understand is that our past doesn't exist anymore. It happened, but it doesn't exist. And when you can let go of it completely, then you can really step into your personal power and operate from possibility in every decision that you make.
Wow. That was a good final thought. And I feel like I had to hear it. So it's like bouncing around in my head right at the moment. But thank you so very much for coming on my podcast. I know that I personally gained a lot of value and I know our listeners did too. And I really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you having this platform. It was really wonderful.
Thank you so much. And everyone, thanks for listening. I'll be right back to wrap up the show right after this. Instead of wrapping up, I decided to share this clip, which was recorded just after the show. I have to go process. I feel like we did. It's like therapy.
It's so funny because that's often the effect that my interviews have on podcasters. They're like, wait. And a lot of them like end up joining my programs. They're like, hold on, wait. Because I'm not talking about what other people talk about.
If you'd like to reach out to the Cosmic Valkyrie, check the show notes for all of her links, and I'll catch you next time on the Biz Essentials.
You've been listening to the Biz Essentials. Thanks for listening to the show. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information, learning how to be productive, be successful, be joyful, and more importantly, be yourself, and turning your dreams into successful passion projects. By listening to this show, you've already set into motion the most important part, starting. So it's important to catch the next episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. In the meantime, hook up with us on social media at Veronica Ventures and at the Biz Essentials. Till next time, this is the Biz Essentials.
Today's quote of the day: to be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.